Hi everyone, this is lesson 3.6 absolute value equations, page 51. This is a brief summary about the lesson. What's the absolute value? The absolute value of a number is the distance on a number line between the graph of the number and the origin. For example, from 0 to negative 3, what's the distance from 0 to negative 3? Is it negative 3 or 3? It is 3. So when I ask about the absolute value, I'm asking about the distance, and the distance cannot be negative. So I can say the absolute value of negative 3, this symbol is the symbol of the absolute value, the two brackets. Negative 3 absolute value equals 3, means I'm asking about the distance. Also from 0 to 3, what's the distance? It's 3. So absolute value of positive 3 equals 3, and absolute value of negative 3 equals 3, because I'm asking about the distance from the origin. This is the definition of the absolute value. How can I solve the absolute value equation? Example, I have an equation negative 3 minus 5. Absolute value of negative 3 minus 5 equals 7. How can I solve it? I have to consider this amount is either 7 or negative 7. Means before getting the absolute value, it was either 7 or negative 7. It was either positive or negative. When we got the absolute value, now it is positive. So I have to consider that negative 3 minus 5 absolute value is either negative 3 minus 5 equals 7 or negative 7. And then solve these two equations to get the values. The two values for x are different. It's 4 or negative 2 over 3. Example, again another example. If I say, for example, that the absolute x minus 2 absolute value equals, let's say, 5. To solve this equation, I have to consider that the x minus 2 it's either 5 or the x minus 2 equals negative 5. Solve this equation. Take the negative 2 to the other side, will be 5 plus 2, which is 7. Take this to the other side, will be x equals negative 5 plus 2, which is negative 3. That means if you put the x here 7, it will be 7 minus 2, which is negative 5. The absolute value of negative 5 equals 5, yes. If you replace the x by negative 3, negative 3 minus 2 equals negative 5. Absolute value of negative 5 equals 5. So both numbers satisfy the equation. This is the way to solve the absolute value equation. And before I leave, the absolute value cannot be negative. I can say that I have equation like this. That's wrong, because the absolute value means to get the positive value of the amount, so it cannot be negative. So the absolute value should be greater than 0. Let's take number 1. Which of the following expression is equal to negative 1 for some values of x? If you look at these equations, absolute value equations, the only one that can be negative 1 is this one. Why? Because if you say that this is negative 1, you take this to the other side, it will be 1 minus x equals negative 1 plus 2, which is 1, which is positive number. But if you try here to put negative 1, so it will be 1 minus x equals negative 1 minus 6, which is negative 7. And we said that the absolute value cannot be negative. So in number A, B, C, if you put the equation equals -1, you will get a negative number. The only one that does not give you negative value is number D. Number 2, if 2x plus 7 absolute value equals 5, which of the following could be the value of x? Means solve the equation to get the value of x. How can I solve it? I will consider that 2x plus 7 either equals 5 or -5. Solve this equation. 5 minus 7, -2 divided by 2, x equals -1. But this is not in the answer. Let's try the other one. So 2x equals -5 minus 7 means -12 divided by 2, x equals -6. This is number A. For what value of x is this equal to 1? Means solve this equation. Take to the other side. It will be x minus 1 absolute value equals 2. Since x minus 1 equals 2, so x minus 1 either 2 or -2. Take this to the other side, x equals 2 plus 1 equals 3, or -2 plus 1 equals -1. For what value of this? Also solve this equation. So it either 3x minus 5 equals oh, what happened? No, this equation has no solution because we said that the absolute value cannot be negative. So there is no solution for this equation. It is wrong. The graph of the function f is shown in the xy plane above. For what value of x is the value of x at the maximum? Fx means y. Y is the maximum here. This is the maximum y. X equals, at this point, x equals what? 1. So y reaches the maximum at x equals 1. Fx is the y equals fx. For what value of n is this equal to 3? Let's solve it. Take the 3 to the other side. It will be -3 minus 3, which is 0. If you multiply by -1, it will be 3 minus n equals 0. Solve this equation. It's either 3 minus n equals 0 or 0, because there is no negative for the 0. Take the n to the other side, it will be 3 equals n. So n equals 3.